Hi guys, it's me again. Today I just wanted to talk about a topic. I know, especially since some of you came from like bodybuilding videos and whatnot and everything, that you might not find this topic very important. But as someone who is a Latino, who is mixed, has a mixed background, it actually does affect the way people see you a lot. And mainly what I wanted to talk about is like, what am I really in terms of my um race? Like, obviously I have light skin and light eyes, but I mean, my parents are mixed. My mom, like me, is, lighter and has European features, but my dad actually does not. Like, he he's brown. He has an afro, and like all my life people have been like, no way, that can't be your father. But yeah, it is. He's my dad, and like I've had to deal with feeling like I never really fit in anywhere, 'cause like I was too white, I guess, for the Latino kids, and but also my experiences were not the same as the white kids, even if I looked like they did. Um So I've like, in addition to my disability, I've like never really fit in, and I've had to sort of make my own way. And like, I mean, I guess because I'm now college educated, and like I run in a lot of uh I guess you could say artistic, or I hate the term high culture, but like high cultural circles. Uh, and I don't know, I still feel out of place there too. Like, it's just when you are a mixed person who doesn't look mixed, it can really be like hellish, because you confuse people. People like to categorize other in neat little boxes, and I mean, with someone like me and many others, you can't do that neatly. um so yeah, I mean, obviously I've talked before about how it affects the way like I'm perceived by women in my country. Here, like I said before, I'm kind of just a regular dude, because most people here identify as white. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a complicated issue, because like, yes, I'm mixed. My culture is mixed. I'm in Guatemala we call ourselves Latinos, but typically in other Latin American countries, that's like typically only a Central American thing. Um, but in other Latin American countries, the term is mestizo. But they're not exactly the same. Like, Latino in Central America kind of just means that you speak Spanish as your first language. And mestizo is kind of more specific in the sense that it means that, oh, one of your parents is full-blooded indigenous and your other one is full-blooded Spanish. But the thing is, like at this point, no one is that, barely anyone is that combination, barely anyone. So, because we're so intermixed, and so like it it's just very, very complicated, right? And on top of that, we migrated to the United States, so I get perceived not as a Guatemalan, and they would be right culturally, because culturally, um obviously, I mean, I speak Spanish and know a little bit about my well, I would say a fair bit, but it's not like I was raised in Guatemala. Obviously, I speak English too, maybe even better than I speak Spanish. So like I there's complexity there too because like um not really perceived as fully Guatemalan. And in addition to that, like my grandfather was Costa Rican. So like it's just stuff on top of stuff. And I want to make clear that it's just an interesting aspect of my life, and while it does influence a lot of things, I don't think it's the main thing. I'm personally a cosmopolitan, and I feel like my background is a reflection of that, and knowing what I am or really questioning it has helped me to see that. And I believe that all cultures should interact. We should take ideas from as many cultures as we can and learn from them. Treat them with respect, but the taking of an idea from one culture to another doesn't necessarily, like, I'm not necessarily a believer in what I guess my generation nowadays calls cultural appropriation, I guess you could say. And yeah, I do feel like knowing my background has a lot to do with why I feel that way. I come from um really a place which is just a meeting ground for so many different people, Africans, Europeans, and indigenous people. And you don't really uh, get that here in the United States. I mean, you are now because intermixing is more common, but it's not really to the same level. Um and again, there's always going to be pressure to fit in with what you look like, but I mean, one thing that I want to say to the people hearing this, and I have trouble with this myself, no one is going to achieve this 100%, I think, but don't even care. Just do what you like. It doesn't matter what culture it comes from. If you're a European and you want to learn about Africa, go ahead. If you're an African and you want to learn about Europe, go ahead. If you're an African, you want to learn about Asia, Latin America, go ahead. If you're whatever, learn about whatever, be whatever. Don't let these people guilt trip you into attaining knowledge. Don't let anyone ever do that to you. It doesn't matter if, oh, you pass, right? Like me. It doesn't matter. You know what you are and be that. Um and respect others, right? If you take something from a culture, respect it, acknowledge it, but just using that certain thing, I don't believe is enough to constitute cultural appropriation. There has to be, in my opinion, a specific intent to to um of malice when taking other ideas for it to be considered cultural appropriation. And one example is, number one, the Christian holiday of Easter, which is just literally based on the Passover, right? Or Pentecost. Pentecost is based on Shavuos, the Jewish harvest festival. Um, and to Jews, it represents the giving of the Torah and a bountiful harvest. But to Christians, it represents, the giving of the Holy Spirit. And there's intentionally parallels to both holidays in the books of the Acts, because back when they were writing that, a lot of Christians were still Jewish. Like they still identified as Jew. And so, but no one is going around telling Christians, oh, you can't celebrate Pentecost or Easter. That's cultural appropriation. I mean, they did change the day for sure, but that was more, it had anti Semitic purposes. If you all wanna look up the Quattrodecimian controversy and see about the dates of Easter and whether we should have kept in line with the Jewish calendar, that's an interesting topic because it gets into that. But yeah, I just don't think something like that, even though some people would consider it cultural appropriation, no one uses an example like that because it's ridiculous to say stuff like that. No one is gonna say that Easter is culturally appropriating Passover or that Pentecost is culturally appropriating Shavuos. All right, those are my thoughts on what I am and intersect the intersections of culture. I hope you enjoyed that.